Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ivan, and a very good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, I would like to mention that it's a privilege for me to be part of this fourth edition of the Economic Times BFSI Innovation Tribes Summit and Awards, held over a period of nearly 2 days. And I would like to thank ET BFSI team for having given me this opportunity to participate in the closing session of this summit. I'm sure that all the participants have really benefited from the various discussions that have happened during the summit. I'm really impressed with the choice of the topics that have been kept for discussion, and I'm very sure that the discussions have been very fruitful for all. Now, coming to the topic of discussion of this closing session, I have really a very interesting topic at hand: disrupted versus disruptive innovation, a choice that can't wait. The topic really gels well with the popular saying of William Ralph Brodie, the American scientist, who said that the calculus of innovation is very simple. Knowledge drives innovation, innovation drives productivity, and productivity drives economic growth. I think this explains in a very simple language the importance of innovation, or in the current context, if we rename it as Finnovation. Before we enter into the domain of the topic of disrupted versus disruptive, let me place before you a brief picture of the demographics of India in the current situation, and also what it would be like by the end of the current decade. Today, there is a continuous proliferation of data and digital in India. We have over 1 billion mobile connections, that is 78% of the population, with 6.88 million internet users, that is again a 50% of the population, and active social media users of 40 crores, that is 29% of the population. So the customer expectations are being reset by their digital experience. They are now having the experience of simple and intuitive customer experience, speed, real-time information everywhere, simple and instant access and interactive advising, personalized offers based on the profile real-time basis, tailored advice using data like people like you, and doorstep delivery seamlessly from anywhere. Sorry for the discontinuity. We expect that by 2030, the median age of India is expected to be around 31 years, still a way lower than 40 years in US and 42 years in China. The working age of population in India is also expected to be around 58% in the next 10 years. And India is expected to emerge as the third largest consumer market behind US and China. In this backdrop, we come to the area where fintechs are now changing the ecosystem in a very big way. Fintechs have actually changed how we save, borrow, and also invest money by making digital financial transactions easier and simpler, obviating the dependency on a traditional bank. In the last decade, consumer behavior has been heavily influenced by the fintech disruption in payment systems, retail shopping, insurance, etc. Starting from the local vegetable vendors to the pharmacists, everyone uses QR scan codes to get the payments from the customers. The current regulatory fintech environment has opened up unprecedented opportunities for businesses and customers. With easy and affordable access to technology, financial services have become more efficient, cost-effective, and provide information. Okay. In fact, during the pandemic, we witnessed sharp adoption of digital way of life in every aspect, which has helped shape various new business propositions. Technology continues to disrupt almost every sector, thus impacting every business in a unique way. COVID-19 has also accelerated digital transformation across the sectors to ensure continuity and survival. To thrive in a post COVID-19 world, swift digital transformation is vital. Today, we have 5,000 plus fintechs founded in India. The total funding involved is around $14 billion, and 46% of the funding is in the fintech space. The other major areas of funding are investment tech, internet first insurance platforms, and banking and finance tech. We already have 10 unicorns in fintech space, another 39 are tagged to become unicorns soon. So we are finding that there is a changing competitive landscape with more and more industrial houses expected to join the race. The NBFC, if you see a tracking of how the NBFC market share in the credit has been moving in the banking industry, we find that over a period of the last 10 years, the NBFC credit growth has been a CAGR of 26% compared to 19% of private sector banks and 7% of PSU banks. So the big techs are now the potential future disruptors. If we take the example of UPI also, today PhonePe is handling 45% by number of the UPI transactions, 47% by value. Similarly, Google Pay, 34% by number and 38% by value. So the changing economic and business environment shows that India's payments infrastructure today leads the world. FIS assigns a scores to countries based on the sophistication of payment system and future potential for innovations, and India has the highest maturity score of 5. There's a series of digital enabled initiatives that have revolutionized the Indian financial services landscape, whether we call it Aadhaar authentication starting from 2010, then Aadhaar eKYC in 2012, and then the payment introduction of the payment banks, UPI, BHIM, the Bharat Bill payment system, the on-tap universal bank licenses, the Bharat QR, the BHIM Aadhaar, Aadhaar Pay, all these have now an integral part of the Indian financial service landscape. So the India's stack infrastructure, it enables endless opportunities. Of course, the base elements are the 43 crore Jan Dhan accounts, the Aadhaar, we have 1.25 billion Aadhaar IDs, we have more than 1 billion mobile devices. So there are a lot of indigenous set of technologies and policies that act as enablers to innovation. So the world after COVID-19 will unlikely return to the world that was. Technology has made unprecedented changes, and we're seeing a rise of digital economy in almost all spheres. The COVID crisis has propelled the use into the forefront, requiring a quick readjustment of expectations, timeframes, and usage volume. As a result, banks are now required to deal more quickly and definitively with the online challenges, including security, communicating with customers, and developing end-to-end services demanded by consumers, from new client onboarding to lending services and more. The bank of the future will need to embrace emerging technology, remain flexible to adopt evolving business models, and put the customers at the center of every strategy. Some of the ways in which innovation is disrupting the landscape include the open banking. While the brick and mortar system of banking system in India cannot be totally abandoned, banks in India are adopting more and more digital ecosystems. Under the latest digital banking trends, banking services are completely provided under mobile apps and websites, including the ability to pay for in-store purchases directly from the customer devices. Then we have the real-time access to data. With the help of disruptive technologies, banks are generating enormous amounts of data about the customers and recent market trends to keep up with the modern financial ecosystem. A centralized enterprise-wide storehouse of data is of immense value. The recent announcement of account aggregator system will also fast forward the creation of a full digital ecosystem. Customers will now have a better choice across financial institutions for his or her financial needs. Banking in the cloud also. Cloud computing is important as a major player in enhancing customer satisfaction. This has increased customer insights, improved efficiency, enhanced innovation, greater agility, and a reduced risk of security or business continuity breaches. Machine learning and AI for fraud detection also identifies fraudulent transactions as the main goal of anti-money laundering departments. For most banks, this involves a combination of software and people. The adoption of data aggregation platforms, machine learning-driven statistical modeling, and process automation can transform AML operations by infusing new efficiencies. So way forward would be, in view of the new technologies, competitors and regulations, banks are now innovating faster than enough to remain relevant. Banks must strategize under the theory of the three-box solution, as said by Professor Vijay Govindarajan of Harvard Business School. By managing the present, that means keep the current business group going and selectively forget the past, forget what made the business successful in the past, and create the future by creating new models. While prioritizing innovation is certainly prevalent at most financial institutions, actually fostering innovation in their processes and products is a complicated issue that digital banking teams struggle with. To innovate in a faster changing environment, banks must push past legacy solutions and complex regulations to innovate. Besides, they have to manage the risk carefully as they rely on their reputation and the trust they have built with their customers. Banks are faced with a choice to either match the fintech companies in innovation or get into partnerships or collaborate with them to remain competitive. Finally, I would like to conclude that financial institutions are no longer the only game in town, and innovation is a choice that cannot wait. People are becoming more comfortable with the idea of using technology to manage their financial lives. But while fintechs are gaining the trust of consumers, it is not at the expense of banks, which remain still a trusted, relationship-driven source for conducting financial transactions. Going forward, the future shall be bright for those banks that continue to bring value addition and innovation in terms of technologies in this new era of financial services. I once again thank ET BFSI team for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.